I will present my entire assignment for research method subject. My title for this research is Examining Spending Pattern on Student Cost of Living at the College of Business at University Utara Malaysia. Rising commodity price and inflation have become a significant concern, particularly affecting students in Malaysia. The increasing cost of living and decreasing purchase power have led to individuals priority spending to meet basic daily needs. The core inflation rate for October showed a gradual increase at 2.4%, surpassed the overall national inflation rate of 1.8%. The most significant surge was its non-alcoholic food and beverage, reached 4.8%. The rise in inflation can influence spending pattern and the cost of living, especially for university students without a fixed income. Many students rely on education loan, scholarship, and parent financial assistance, but these funds often fall short of daily expenses. The increase in the cost of living has a significant impact on society, especially students, and financial management need to be more effective and systematic to ensure sufficient funds. Firstly, the purpose of this research is to look at the spending habit of College of Business students in University Utara Malaysia in response to the rising cost of living in Malaysia today. Secondly, to examine COB students in UUM overall daily expenditure habit according to the chosen categories. Thirdly, to identify the factors that influence COB students to spend money on a daily basis. 4. To relate COB students in UUM expenditure pattern that have a favorable or negative impact on the cost of living. The first RQ is what are demographic characteristics of College of Business students in University Utara Malaysia. Secondly, what is the total daily expenditures COB student in UUM based on the categories that have been set? And the thirdly is what are the key factors determine daily spending of COB student in UUM? In this chapter, I will explain about study concept, review of empirical study, review of theoretical background, and theoretical framework diagram, and the last one is literature gap. For the review of empirical study, I give the previous study that can help to understand how student spending pattern affect the cost of living. I divide to 3 sections. Firstly, student spending pattern. Khamis et al. 2021 identifies spending behavior as the act of allocate money in relation to a person, activity, or environment in order to meet needs. Next, factors affecting consumer spending. A rise in parent income is correlated with an increase in student spending. According to Nano et al. 2015, higher income parents encourage their children to spend more and keep less. This is because children's ability to make purchase is reflected in how much money they spend, which is provided by their parents. Third is the impact of spending pattern on the cost of living. Since et al. 2020 study on 138 university students in Mumbai and Delhi found that those with low income often struggle with financial, cutting back on everyday expenses. In this subtopic, review of theoretical background is explained about spending habit, income, price, replacement item, taste and preference. That is my independent variable for this research. I also found the theory that related with independent variable. For example, income has the relationship with John Maynard Keynes' income expenditure theory, and price have the connected theory with law of demand theory by McConnell et al. 2017. After studying the previous research, I discovered that the factors that were covered tend to be broad in scope and pay little attention to external variables like product price and replacement that may also have an impact on student purchasing decision. This research aimed to close this gap by studying the relationship between these factors and student spending pattern as well as their effect on living expenses. This study also seeks to find out if the variable that influence spending and the spending habit of students are related. As previous study has indicated that the income component is the only part that influence student overall spending patterns. 30 of COB students have chosen randomly to answer the questionnaire. The questionnaire was given in the form of an open and closed questionnaire. Part A is the concern with the demography information of the respondent, and Part B is the concern with analyze the spending habit of UUM student. Part C and Part D is to identify factors that encourage student daily spending and the impact of spending pattern on living costs. This section was graded on a Likert scale of 1 to 5. To make the study easy to conduct, the collected data are using the convenient sampling method. For research question method, RQ1 is use summary statistic. For RQ2 and RQ3, using the summary statistic and OLS model estimation. There are two main parts to this section. First, discuss some of the summary statistics of the dataset. Then discuss the main finding from the OLS estimation model in two ways. First, link and second is double log model. In this table, variables which are continuous in nature include age, daily spending, monthly allowance, and daily expenditure type. The means are reported for this variable. The remaining variables are dummies reported in proportions. Based on the summary statistic, 12 respondents is not from SEFB and 18 respondents who are students at SEFB. The demography of SEFB 64.3% and non-SEFB 42.4% appear to be same. Refer to the p-value column. There are no statistically significant difference in how a student's allowance every month affect their daily expenditure because the p-value is 0.803. Next, for the spending pattern on student living expenses in terms of ethnic, for example, Malay, Chinese and Indian, the p-value show for Malay are significant, 0.079, less than 10%, and otherwise ethnic is not significant. Furthermore, the p-value for a gender, male and female, is statistically significant at 0.073. Next, categories represent the expenditures. The p-value column shows the entertainment and leisure category has a significant. It assumes that spending on entertainment and leisure activity may enhance student cognitive stimulation and increase their academic. Moving forward, the factors that impact COB student daily spending. According to the p-value column, there are no significant difference in any of the factors. Model that use in OLS model, I use two model specification at column M1 and M2. The topic of the M1 and M2 are the second and third objective of the study. The p-value for M1, which is linked with second research question. What is the total daily expenditure COB student based on categories that have been set? Is 0.030, fall within the range of less than 0.10. Phone and internet for expenditure type is significant, as indicated by the p-value. The estimated coefficient here suggests that when telephone and internet increase about Rm1 total daily spending will tend to increase by Rm1.04 on average. Previous research has supported this finding. In the modern era, the expenses related with study university have increased with time. Aside from the market economy's ongoing price increase, some goods like smartphone, laptop, and desktop computer are considered as essential for students in order to improve communication and the learning process. Next, for the third research question, which is the key factors determine spending described in M1, show that there are two significant factors with p-value. Spending habit as well as taste and preference have been found to positively correlate with daily spending on students. The p-value are 0.106 and 0.069, so it can be assumed from the p-value that there are just two factors that have significant effect on the daily spending on COB student at UUM. The estimate coefficient suggests for spending habit is when spending habit of student COB increase about 1%, total daily spending will tend to increase by 64% on average. And if taste and preference of student COB increase about 1%, total daily spending will tend to decrease by 58% on average, according to ceteris paribus. In this moment, teenagers represent the majority of spending and are frequently the most sensitive consumer when it comes to new and branded goods. Students make most of their selection based on aesthetic principles such as color or style that can relate with factors taste and preference. Secondly, there is a direct relationship between the concept of consumer buying and spending habit. Therefore, before making a purchase, buyer will research a product, figure out what they need to acknowledge, and then decide what to buy. Since every consumer has unique spending habit, there is a positive relationship between factors determining spending. The p-value for M2, which is linked with research question 2. I discovered that there was no significant difference between the independent and dependent variable after running a double log regression model. For instance, the daily spending category for food and drink has no correlation with student overall spending because the p-value at 0.257. Then, for the third research question, which is the key factors determine spending described in M2, show that there are two significant factors with p-value, that is taste and preference and spending habit. The p-value are respectively 0.045 and 0.009 less than 0.10. The p-value suggests that just two factors are like to have a significant effect on COB student daily expenditure at UUM. According to the predict coefficient for spending habit, total daily spending tend to grow by 4.5% on average, when student COB spending habit increased by around 1%. Furthermore, it shows that a 1% rise in a student taste and preference corresponds to an average 3.7% decrease in total daily spending. The results are significant in terms of the spending habit demonstrated by this past study, which may also be classified based on gender. Every one of these has distinct passion on spending habit. While female students consider clothes, luggage and shoes essential because they want to appear well for class, male students have a greater attraction to purchase expensive electronics. The key finding on this paper as follows. There are 18 respondents who are students at SEFB and 12 respondents who are not from SEFB. We refer to the p-value column. The p-value of 0.803 indicates there are no significant change in the way a student monthly allowance influence their daily expenditure. Next, the p-value for the spending pattern on living expenditure for students by ethnic Malay show the most significant because the p-value is less than 10%. Additionally, the p-value male and female for gender is same, 0.073. The research question revealed a significant link between daily expenditure with phone and internet in model M1, but in M2 that none of the daily spending categories are significant. Next, two significant factors influence daily spending of COB students at UUM in model M1 and model M2 is same, that is spending habit and taste and preference with p-value less than 0.10. This paper's finding can be used by the government to implement policy. The study suggests that the government should conduct more financial management education program to better understand the daily needs and costs of university students, especially those without stable income. University can use this information to introduce incentives like food coupon or food bank to help students minimize their daily expenditure. This paper's main contribution is analysis of the variable influencing expenditure through a connection to the concept of demand for goods in economy. Like early research, the majority of study only look at the factors related to income that can influence student expenditure. Thus, I made effort to understand additional economic variable that may be strongly linked to student expenses in this study. According to this study finding, the biggest factors affecting student spending are their spending habit, which are influenced through social and economic aspects, including taste and preference. As a result, this study have effectively introduced new variables that influence expenditure besides financial status level. The researcher lack of respondents is one of the study limitations. Only 30 respondents were able to successfully get to answer the questionnaire. Secondly, limited data collection. Only one university was selected, so it be made possible that the regression data is not accurate because it do not include all student data in Malaysia. The researcher proposed that conduct research in the future or extend this study to a broad scope. All Malaysia university students should have their data collected. As a result, compare the early research, the study or data accurate is probably going to produce more accurate result.